This guy's smarter than I am.
Yeah, I try to be as fair as possible.
No, I mean, you're...
Not that it matters.
Indeed. This is not a fair fight. They haven't been playing fair the whole time.
Make a salient point.
Yes. Yeah, so I think the phrase is turnabout is fair play.
Yeah.
Or as they might say, fair game. Sons and bitches.
Lord knows I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
So I was curious, what got you interested in coming out here today?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Well, I mean, I've been interested in cults and Scientology. Is anybody going in and out of this entrance, sir?
The property line is right there, so please don't cross it. You're trespassing. This is the property line right there. So please don't block this entrance. Please don't cross this property line. You'll be trespassing. Thank you.
He's got Jedi mind tricks, guys. It worked. He turned me to stone. I couldn't help it. Okay, maybe there's something to this. No, absolutely not. Sorry. But okay, so I've been interested. I wasn't raised with any religion.
Okay.
Pretty loosey-goosey. My folks said, if you get interested in something, we'll buy the hat, we'll get you the book, we'll take you to the place, but do whatever you want. And my first interaction with Scientology was seeing the ad campaign in the 80s in my local bookstore. And my brother, a year younger than me, got curious and he bought the book and he brought it back. And he started going through it, and it's just nonsense, but it was funny. And so we'd open it like to a random page for a laugh, and that's all that we used Dianetics for.
Got a lot of this, yeah.
And then as time went on, like by the late 90s, the reports started to come out that the abuse reports, the child trafficking reports.
So you knew way back then. So you're like one of the early people that was aware of what these guys were doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, as early as I could. Like at 12 years old, I knew Scientology was a crazy cult.
Right.
And at 12 years old, I was a skateboard kid on the streets of Boston.
Cool.
And so these guys would post up on the corner of Newbury Street where the Boston Architectural College is, and do the personality test thing. And they take you
stress test, yeah.
Exactly. They take you like a couple blocks away to Marlborough Street in the Back Bay, which is where they had their org.
Okay.
And us skateboard kids were like, well, okay, what's our personality today? And we mess with them and blow smoke in their face, cigarettes or whatever, and be all free and like we were, and I felt bad, kind of, but then thinking about it now, I was wasting their resources. That's one more person that they weren't interviewing right then, right there.
Right.
And then
you're doing something good for the world.
And then but my personal interaction got a little closer when I had this band in Boston, had this house north of it. And one of the band members, they met this couple in the Boston Common who were homeless.
Okay.
And they took pity on them.
Cool.
And we brought them in, we cleaned them up. They were very, very nice and gave them a place to be. One day they were out and about in the city. And we get a call in hushed tones. They're like, we don't know where we are. We're showing a movie and they're giving us these. I think they're going to take our money. We don't have any money. Please, we don't know what's going on. Come and get us. And I said, I know exactly where you are. And we got the band van. We went and grabbed them. And at that point, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They're taking kids off the street. They're taking these most vulnerable kids. I saw it with my own eyes. I drove up a van and took two kids
not actually helping
out of their hands.
Yeah.
And so then I was pretty angry about it. And then so 2004 happens, right? The first kind of dumps of some kind of secrety Sciento information, like the IAS 2004 video gets out there. I remember when I was sitting at my desk watching that. I watched it like 3 times in a row. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Sean's here.
Cool.
Yeah.
And at that point, I started to dig into the internet.
That makes sense.
And well, that was the beginning of the Chans right there at about the early aughts. And I mean, that was, you could see the organic building of I mean, because that was a totally distributed just group of crazy anarchist hackers.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
and like 16-year-old kids. And so that led up, like 4 years led up to 2008, you know, Chanology.
Yeah.
And the full deployment. And I mean, one of the hardest hit cities by Anonymous was Boston for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, they don't
Covered a lot
mess
of
with
truth
MIT.
there. Yeah.
Don't mess with MIT,
Yeah.
and you don't know.
No.
You just
Anonymous
don't know.
is kind of the cool stamp of credibility. You know,
Well, I mean,
beginning of the downfall.
They're very strange.
Yes.
And I you know, I mean,
But do some good work.
Well, they did some good work, and they're not an organization.
Yeah.
Like it's just a label. It's the inner workings of that group, if you study it, are so chaotic,
Yeah.
and there's so many factions, and they hate each other.
Yeah.
And they won't talk to each other. There's all that, whatever. But
No, it's a
and
weird
so
thing.
then that happened. And then the NSA, you know, and
Yeah,
went
Edward
after
Snowden and all that jazz,
well,
yeah.
right. Well, after the leaks, but they went after anonymous people and started to prosecute them.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it scared the whole movement to the corners, and it fizzled. And that, you know, they did the Sony hack, they did a bunch of other big businesses,
Yeah, right.
and they turned their back on Scientology, kind of. And then the Aftermath show was the next kind of major thing, and at that point I was like, okay, all right, there's national attention, they got this, that's it, it's
Yeah,
done.
right.
And it wasn't.
Right.
And
I
it
mean,
wasn't.
right. They
It
still.
wasn't.
Right. There
Here
still
we
hasn't
are.
been prosecutions for child labor violation.
Nothing, right? And so
For sexual abuse cover-up, for
Absolutely.
exploitation of labor,
Correct.
for exploitation of immigrant labor under the table.
Correct.
It's just such a myriad of
yeah, my uncle
issues
worked
that
for the
you-
Justice Department. He prosecuted Nazis. Like
Respect.
this stuff, you know, secret American Nazis, the
Yeah.
biggest American Nazi killer from Lithuania,
Wow.
and,
cool. Cool.
deported that mother.
Nice.
And
Nice.
so
Thanks for service.
I'll thank them all the live long day.
Hell yeah.
Well, deported him, and then he like ran out the clock. Everybody knew.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
he's like
But
86
gone,
or something.
Yeah,
Exactly,
he's
right?
gone.
So, and so no, they didn't have it.
Yeah.
They made a show. They sold a book. They raised a bunch of consciousness. Now, consciousness raising is the first part. You need a Bob Dylan song, and Joni Mitchell's going to sing about it.
Blowing in the wind.
Exactly. All this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't keep pushing
Right.
and keep
People
pushing
forget it, yeah.
at the structural side, and do it in the courts, and that's, I very much resonate with the way you speak.
Yeah.
I am.
Thank you. Yeah.
I am way more of a crazy artist. I
love
don't
it.
think I
I
could
love
be
it.
as focused to do this work, although I understand
Yeah.
the theory.
Right. Use your sense. Well, thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it.
Oh man, game must recognize game.
Hey, amen. I recognize your game too, man, because you're fighting for those people that you saw were exploited, taken advantage of.
And all the rest of them. And all the rest of them. Well, why I'm
your,
here.
Your passion can't allow you to bite your tongue.
Well, it did for too long. I sat on my
I
hands
can
for
still
like
bite my
10
tongue.
years.
Yeah, right.
Sat on my hand, and I'm ashamed. And
Yeah.
it took this year, watching Aaron Smith-Levin, watching Nora, watching Liz.
Oh, dude, what's your YouTube, by the way? People are asking.
Oh, it's at Selfless Self.
Selfless. Oh, I've heard of you. Yeah, you're a bit of a celeb. Honor to meet you.
Oh, thanks.
You're a noted figure. Oh, you're Selfless Self, of course. I'm very
That's
well
right.
aware of you.
All right.
Okay. So anyway, sorry. What are you saying?
Well, these stories and the heart and the compassion of these survivors.
Yeah.
And that's the part, I mean, the Aftermath show showed that, but with
got
like
me
a
hooked.
soft focus and the studio lighting
Right.
and all of this stuff. And so it looks like
All the
entertainment
circumstance,
and
yeah.
it feels like entertainment.
Sure. It enraptures you. It engrosses you.
Now, SPTV is an entertaining,
Yeah.
but
More substantive.
by far, by a country mile, by an order of magnitude.
Well, it's an awkward thing because with the, some of the Mike Ringer controversy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like he was the king of that initial time when cable news still had some sort of influence and some sort of dominance. And even since 2017, after the Aftermath came out, cable is not that same platform of power that it was even 5 or 6 years ago.
Sure.
So it's very hard for him to adapt. And right, I think
But-
now the eyes are on SBTV
was
and
never
YouTube.
the
It's like
medium.
he doesn't want to pass the baton, but the
But it-
baton has been forcefully passed in some way.
Well, I mean, he dropped it. Basically.
Yeah. A lot. So that's just a lot of people feel that way. You feel that way? Yeah.
Well,
Do you feel like he put a lot of covered up a little too much and
I
didn't recognize like Miriam's story,
I
for example?
understand the compassion that survivors have for another survivor, and having the empathy.
Well, you have it. That's why you're here, man.
And having the empathy and the sympathy for somebody as damaged as Mike Rinder, because he is
Yeah.
damaged. He's
Sure.
psychologically damaged,
Sure.
but the
Sure.
man is a bully.
I mean, he's shown, a lot of those his
hate
actions. You're not wrong.
Bullies.
Right. I can tell. That's why you're here right now.
I was 6 feet tall when I was 12 years old.
Damn.
And I always had to stand in front of my
You had to be the
friends and danger.
Yeah.
Always. I hate bullies. And Mike Rinder, I always saw as a barnacle attached to Leah Remini sitting on that couch.
Ha. Yeah. Yeah.
And that he got out of the highest level of
Hope it's not
OSA.
rude if I smoke, by the
He
way.
got the, no, please. Got out of the highest level, and to get, like, I don't know how much the book deal was. Like, they
Right.
make millions, maybe, and like a high-powered freaking TV deal. Like, this is an executive, like A-type personality, killer shark,
Right.
just getting what he wants, and still getting what he wants.
Yeah. Even now. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now he's done some good, but at the same time, while he was doing that good, he's hurting people behind the scenes.
Right.
He's hurting. He's he's preventing
Well-
people from telling their true story. He's actually. That guy just turned his camera on me. Purple hair, but
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Reading this book, I kept waiting a billion years, which I thought was a good book, but I kept waiting at the very last chapter for there to be 5 pages of Mike Rinder saying, "This is the abuse I covered up. This is the abuse I directed." Hardcore. Wow. It's for the man himself. He commands an escort. He commands a presence. Think that's for DM? Guys, just so you know, who am I? If you want to know who I am, my name is Dodge. I was a news anchor who got fired, a local TV news anchor in Yuma, Arizona, who got fired for talking about the connection of Danny Masterson and Lisa Marie Presley after she died. Because I saw the mainstream media were supposed to copy and paste these scripts from CNN, and then the mainstream media was getting the death of Lisa Marie Presley completely incorrect. And they were ignoring this massive part of her legacy, that she was going to be pretty heroic, even with the risk of getting fair game. In spite of that, she was going to testify and say that Scientology called her, Lisa, to tell her friend to stand down. And 20 years later, she still felt the guilt and wanted to right that wrong.
Right.
And I put that in. That Corinne Powell called me personally, the chief spokesperson for Scientology, asked me to take it down. I didn't. She called the station. Either they fire me or there's a lawsuit happening. And of course, it's a bullshit paper tiger because they haven't actually sued anybody for 20 years. So guys, if you want that, there's a longer YouTube video coming out tonight about that. But that's who I am. Long story short. And for your viewers as well.
Well, that's why I stayed quiet and just filmed, because I wanted to know. I mean, I saw previous videos where you said that, but it's still a fascinating story. And thank you for staying in. And I mean,
of course.
Who risks their career like that in media? Nobody.
Yeah.
No one.
No.
They must have all looked at you like you were crazy.
Oh, insane.
Yeah.
And my parents couldn't even understand it. My dad said how much I fucked up and how I wasn't a real journalist and stuff. And,
what?
Yeah.
No, but the exact opposite, though.
Yes, exactly.
The exact opposite.
Right. No, he said, well, it was funny because it just goes to show the antiquated viewpoint because he's 77. And he's like, Nora O'Donnell would never do this. Or Lester Hull. And like, who gives a shit about Nora O'Donnell and Lester Hull?
Hacks.
They're not Walter Cronkite.
But they're hacks.
Right, exactly.
Next to Cronkite.
Right.
Do you have Instagram? She wants to follow you.
Oh,
Oh, no, only YouTube. I'm sorry.
What's your Instagram?
Either or.
At Selfless Self.
These are the two VIPs of like Chicago.
No way.
Right here. These
No.
guys are like the
No.
celebrities.
No.
I think you are.
I am not worthy. I am not worthy.
There.